When you hand in a graph, there's three things that I'm going to look for before I even look to see what the physics content is. And we're looking at the title, the y-axis, and the x-axis. So in each one of those, you need to make sure you've got a title, and the title should be a reflection of the y and the x-axis, saying page 58, problem 19.2, whatever it is. I'm not looking for that kind of a title. I'm looking for a title of what the graph actually reflects. In most of our cases, it's going to be distance versus time, speed of a cart, force of friction, something like that as a title of the two things that we're measuring. The y-axis is our dependent variable, and what that means is that that's the one that we're kind of trying to figure out. It's the one that's going to change that we're probably trying to measure. And so then that's our dependent, goes in this on the y-axis, and then our independent goes along the bottom. Independent is something that usually happens anyway, and it's just a measure of how often the other one occurs. It's usually something to do with time, because time just is going to be consistent and occur on a regular basis that we can't mess around with. We can measure it in different units, but it's just always happening, and we just pick out a section to work from. Make sure your units are in there. And the other thing to note is that when you go to start plotting your units, it doesn't matter where they start from. They do not have to start at 0, but whatever you put in for a first number, make sure that they go up by an equal increment. And again, doesn't matter where you start within here, make sure you go up by equal increments and just have that labeled properly. And make sure you include a nice uniform number system here. Even if your data table doesn't have that number, put some of them in, and don't just put in the ones that your data table produced. So again, before I even look at the content of what you're doing, I look to see that you've got a title, that you've got your dependent variable labeled with units, and your independent variable labeled with units. And I look at your structure of your chart, and then I start looking at the data.